Okay. Um, so today is Wednesday. I know I'm coming in a little late with it, but I want to do my third edition of the Optimistic Knicks fan, and all being waiting in the middle of the week. Game will be on Saturday, game one, in Madison Square Garden. I believe they got us at 3 o'clock. So must get into the preview of the series. So I've heard a lot of prognostications. I've heard a lot of predictions and stuff like that, and breakdowns of series. And okay. So look, the way the season played out, Knicks had an up and down a little bit of a roller coaster season, but it was albeit a successful one. I just heard one prognostication that say the Knicks made those trades and they only won one more game. Of course, right? It was for the regular season a little bit of a disappointment, but the way it played out, the Knicks were clearly ahead of the pack when it comes to that second tier, right? God tier was the Cleveland and Boston. No one saw Cleveland coming. I thought Cleveland had a chance to be a really solid team this year. Again, I give a shout out to teams who keep their core together. Right? I mean, if you look at the top four teams in the league this year, they're teams that kept their core together. Their core have grown over the course of 3-4 years, right? So that tells you something, right? Putting together a puzzle is a lot easier when you're not just rushing the pieces to fit, right? When you're really taking that time to and that's the thing, right? So again, the teams. You look at OKC, they added, obviously they got K. K played last year, right? So they were the first year. They took us a quantum leap. He's their second overall pick from a couple of years ago. They've developed. Another thing too. In addition to those, like all four, other than Spider, that it was a trade. Other than Cleveland, most of Cleveland's players are homegrown. I know they traded for Allen, who's one of their top four players, but their second and third best player were homegrown talent. And you talk about Mobley was the second overall pick. Um, yeah. So you got a lot of the flavor of the top four. I mean, you got Jalen Brown, who was the seventh pick of the Celtics. So those top four teams, right? And Houston is the other one. I think Houston gets a lot of disrespect. But Houston is another one of those top four teams where they developed their own guys. And the core got to develop a couple of years. Again, added in players like Dylan Brooks. They added Fred Van Vliet, and he's been there through a lot of the growing process, right? They got Fred Van Vliet from Toronto. Toronto let him walk, so he's been there a few years. But that's the recurring theme. The best teams in the league, with the exception of the Lakers, right? If we're gonna go down seeds, have been together for a while. So I mean, even the Lakers, to a degree, for 2 or 3 years, like the Austin Reeves and stuff like that, they've been there developing their chemistry. So chemistry matters. So in this series, you have an upstart. You have a team that like they're comparing this team to OKC, where OKC a couple of years ago. Well, yeah, they got in, and so they seem to be a year ahead of schedule, right? They got really down bad the one year, a couple of years, right? Got their early draft picks. They got their early draft picks. They got their early draft picks, and then here we are, right? So they've added a couple of pieces, and I give a lot of credit. I was one of the first people to call Detroit. I got it. A legit playoff team. I'm one of the first people to call Detroit a legit playoff team. I actually thought they had a real chance of getting the 4 seed this year. And, you know, it turns out they weren't as, I mean, they kind of fizzled out at the end. I think they didn't really care too much about seeding. So I saw the improvement. I mean, obviously you get J.K. Cunningham at this stage. You get, the Knicks and the Pistons were a relatively injury-free team. Obviously, with Jaden Ivey, they took a big hit. Like he was the second leading scorer, and we'll get to the second leading scorer theme later. The pieces on that team fit, and so they're one of those teams that you'll look out like basically. And again, you could say that they're last year's Orlando, right? They're like last year's Orlando, where they took a quantum leap with a young player, and I love that theme in the league. I love that theme in the league. So I'm gonna do my best to give Detroit the respect they deserve as a team to improve. But let's. I mean, look, Cade Cunningham is outstanding. Cade Cunningham is outstanding, and he can very well be the best player in this team, especially considering Jalen Brunson is a player coming off ankle injury, which I think once you have an ankle injury in a season, you're not even going to get 100% until the off season, right? You just got to tough it out and play as well as you can. If he's if he's 90%, Jalen Brunson's, obviously it's definitely a contest on who's going to be the best player in the series. I mean, the most talented player, I guess the way he's playing right now, it would be Cade. So, but the caveat is Cade has not played. Cade has agreed in the playoffs. Cade and Duran agreed in the playoffs. Now you got a guy like Tobias Harris, who's had his runnings. He's been with Philly for the last five or so years. And you have Tim Hardaway Jr. again, a team guy just coming off the finals. His role diminished there in Detroit, and I think and this is another theme, right? So we got two guys who have been nemesis, who've been familiar. And Tobias, I remember Tobias started his career in Milwaukee, played in Orlando, he's been a journeyman. He's been a journeyman number 3 guy. Like a lot, he's always a number 2, number 3, number 4 guy. Worst I've seen him be on the team before. And he's kind of been around the block, right? So, Detroit is his new home. I mean, he did have a stable home in Philly for a while, but Philly felt they needed to improve at the position. And again, he just played the Knicks last year. I mean, this is the key. And I think that, the key to this series is, even if I give Cade Cunningham, and I've said this many, many times, even if I give Cade Cunningham the best player in the series, and even if he's like, I'm going to say 5 points better than Brunson, well, the Knicks have the next 5 players, and I'm giving. I don't know if I included Malik Beasley in my assessment, but Malik Beasley should win the 6th Man of the Year, right? And obviously he being a second leading scorer of a playoff team coming off the bench, that's a pretty significant thing. Malik Beasley is the second leading scorer. Who is, and again, because you're second leading scorer, don't mean the second best player. Who is the second best player on the Pistons? And I mean, like, you talk about, let's just say Karl-Anthony Towns just has a standard 20 and 8, 20 and 10. I mean, you expect you have a 20 and 10 the way he is. Let's just say he's just standard 20 and 10. He doesn't do much more than that. He doesn't, and standard gets his garden variety of shots, takes the same percentage. The Knicks clearly have at least 5 of the best 7 players. I mean, again, respect to Jalen Duren. He had. I mean, look, I had him on both my fantasy teams. If Jalen Duren, and I won the championship on one. But if Jalen Duren was the Jalen Duren of last year, or if Jalen Duren was a guy who you could say I can mark him down as one of the best 7 players in the series this year, then I would have won both championships. Okay, I was knocked out in the first round in the other fantasy league, right? So, especially considering Jalen Duren's position is a position that like he should have got me 50-something points a night, and he didn't get that. So, I mean, look, Pistons probably clearly had a better bench. The Knicks had one of the worst way they played them benches in the league this year as far as production. I mean, obviously, that would be due to the fact that the running theme that Tibbs overplays his minute. Now, see, you guys that say Tibbs run guys into the ground. And again, you come to the playoffs. I'm watching right now Dallas and Sacramento. Dallas is blowing them out, but they still comfortable up. Sacramento's making a little run, but they're still up comfortably by 17. So this game is pulling out like the first game did, where surprisingly, to my surprise, Miami came out and just blitzed and just stifled the Bulls. So yeah, I mean, even if I give you Cade, the next 5, maybe 6, potentially 7 players are with the Knicks. I mean, listen, if Beasley's not great, and I expect Beasley to be pretty good, but if he's not great, and I know he has playoff experience, he's with Minnesota, he's been with a few teams that done some things in the playoffs, right? If Beasley is not great, I mean, by accident, I mean, OG Anunoby, we gotta understand, OG Anunoby's gonna be only be a defender, right? Not an All-NBA team. Had a case at All-Star break for the All-Star game. Josh Hart being an X factor. Josh Hart is one of those guys who I think, and ultimately, the Knicks might want to, find a way to get him to come back off the bench and just because the minutes he's going to earn his minutes no matter what. He's going to play 30, 34, 35 minutes. He led the NBA in minutes this year. Again, not one of those things. It's like I don't worry about the Knicks. Because, and again, I say this many, many times, the idea that Tibbs running people in the ground is nonsense. Because especially considering the Knicks had the most healthy. Again, this is losing Jalen Brunson, which an injury that would have never happened had the Knicks made a couple free throws and wide open threes and finished the Lakers off in regulation on March 6th. That famous night where Stephen A. Smith and LeBron had their run in, but. The Knicks were the most healthy team in the league. I saw like the Knicks were the most healthy. Detroit was up there. Dallas was the least, had the most games lost. I mean, it reminds you of what happened to the Grizzlies last year, where they had the most. I mean, Jesus, the Grizzlies. I mean, they lost the backups to the backups. I mean, you also had a situation with New Orleans this year, right? But Dallas and New Orleans. The amount of games lost to injury is just catastrophic, right? The amount of production and losing Kyrie to an ACL tear. You don't know how quickly he'll be, and he'll be 33 next year, 33, 34. Yeah, 30. I think he's 33 already. So, the Knicks were the most healthy team. And again, it's the idea. Again, I'm gonna tell you on my channel. Again, I'm 10 toes down. I don't run with the wolves. I don't run with the pack. Everybody, that prevailing theme, you'll see it all over the place. They say it on ESPN. They say it, I was just watching The Athletic and the Detroit Free Press. Getting a Detroit perspective on this game and just seeing how they look. I look at the series. I never bought into the fact that Tibbs runs people into the ground. It's just not what happened. I mean, because again, I'm of the proponent that the best way to get healthy for basketball is by playing basketball. So that the fact that the idea that he ran people into the ground, what doesn't show, it doesn't. We were at the point in this era where playing 82 games and playing 34 minutes. And stuff like that. Again, the rosters are expanded, and they want everything to be so specialized, like where and again, to some good some good of the game, and there's to some detriment. I think the teams are not tough. So again, the fact that the Knicks have guys that can play long minutes can speak to a level of toughness. Now again, there's the toughness and there's the physicality. And again, the Knicks are not this year not really a physical team. They don't have the beef that they had last year. Again, Julius Randle being at his build and his physique, he's gonna naturally be there whether he's a great defender or not. His physique in there, and then you had the eye heart, and you had a again. I'm gonna say one big X factor for the Knicks that no one seems to be talking about, and I've seen people make prognostications without speaking of Mitchell Robinson. Again, you talk about guys, a lot of new names, a lot of young players who are in the defensive player of the year um, category, like they're in the conversation, and you know that. I'm I'm really curious to see because we've had the whole injury guideline and which pretty much was low management with Mitch. Doesn't play back to backs. Again, we're now in the playoffs. There are no back to backs, and they love to spread out. I don't even look and see what game two. Matter of fact, I don't even think they've scheduled game two. So you could have 3 days off in between game one and game two. When it comes to this, like the Knicks can play on Saturday and then not play again until Sunday, Monday. Not play again on Wednesday, possibly, likely Tuesday. Or they could shoot them back and come back Monday. It depends on what the NBA wants to do with TV purposes. So that's all kind of flexing, I believe. I gotta check to be sure because one time I saw a game on one and then I didn't even see a schedule for the Sunday games. I saw the first day on Saturday and I didn't see a schedule. But anyway, again, Jalen Brunson. Mitchell Robinson is gonna be an equalizer when it comes to this. Again, he's not a thug type player, but he's a big player that you cannot push around. And I think that's what a lot of teams believe when it comes to predicting the series is that the Pistons will push around the Knicks. The Pistons will hit the Knicks in the mouth, and the Knicks will not be able to respond. See, again, this is not a league where, first of all, if that were true, if the Knicks, and again, the Knicks are a little bit of a finesse team, but this is not a league where you get to knock a team around, hurt them physically, and then they'll put the Knicks on the foul line. The Knicks are a more skilled team than the Pistons. Again, the Pistons could take a couple of games. They could steal a couple of games. They can set the tone of a couple of games. I do give credit to the Pistons, especially the way they played us in the regular season. But again, they never played us at full strength. And again, Mitchell Robinson. Again, let's just say if he's 60, he's at least almost what Jalen Duran, and he can almost cancel out Jalen Duran, especially for the times that he's on the court. He can also cancel out Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart is a tough guy. I get it. He's a solid guy. But again, it's fighting and the skirmishing and the hard fouls. That's not. It's gonna laugh that off, bro. What are you gonna do? You're gonna injure Karl Anthony Towns? Maybe that'd be if the Knicks catch caught an injury, a hammy here. Again, I knock on wood. I don't want anybody on any team to get hurt. Especially I hope this is an injury-free playoffs. But the Knicks, look, they're a better team. Period. It's a reason why we won 51 games, and that's what kind of like calling off the dogs at the end. There's a reason why. Again, I know that the game was hard fought and all that one. The Knicks kind of have blown the lead. And the Pistons played like they wanted it. The Knicks kind of didn't. The Knicks played like they had another day again. If this is a different. And I'll be real. This has been a different Knicks team than the Thibodeau's team before. And that might be one of the things that some of these analysts are seeing and then saying. But I mean, again, the Knicks. Let's just keep it a stack. The Knicks got four guys to score 18. I don't know if you're gonna get 18 points a game from anybody outside of Cade. And Cade himself might get 24, 25. He got 30 in a regular season. I mean, come on. Like, everybody puts their best shot against the Knicks. Him getting 30 does not worry me that much because that's kind of where you expect a guy like that to do. I know he got 26, around 26. I think he scored less than Brunson did. Brunson ended up with 26 a game. Basically coming in and tuning himself up, getting 4 games in after the ankle injury to get the 65. So Jalen Brunson scores more points and then has more playoff experience. You talk about, again, I don't expect Brunson to do the 5 games of 40 like he did last year, but y'all gotta remember, the Knicks got 2 guys that scored 60 in a game last year. I mean, Brunson had 61 against the Phoenix Suns, and I understand Phoenix Suns won them, but they had Bill, Kevin, Katie, and Booker in that lineup tonight. He outshined them all. He scored 50 against them, 59 assists, 9 threes, made all 9 of his threes. Again, people saying that he's a bad 3-point shooter. I mean, with the ankle, maybe he's not as efficient as he was. But Brunson shot about 38% from 3 this year. What are we seeing? And again, you talk on a week off, good training. Again, I don't expect Brunson to be 100%. I expect him to be 90. I'm hoping he's at least 80. But I expect him to be around 90. That's what we kind of need to make this an easy series. But, I mean, bro, the Bridges hate, I get it. Bridges shot 50% on the season. And you tell me 35 is not a great 3-point shot. Okay, great. If the Knicks set him up for the corner 3, which he's one of the best in the league in hitting. His above the break 3 is 30, which brings it down. And, you're trying to run, I guess, the strategy would be to run him off the 3. Bridges could take over a game or 2 himself. If Bridges takes over a game, the series is over. If Bridges has one of them 30-point games where he decides it's the series is over. Again, you got Josh Hart in there. The Knicks got 3. I know it's not basketball's just not adding up points. The Knicks got 4 guys who score 18, around 17.5 points a game. I don't know that I'm getting 17.5 points a game out of any other Piston other than Cade. What are we talking here? And again, if you're going to tell me they have a better bench, if you're going to tell me Ron Holland goes off, Ron Holland can go off in a game or 2. He's not going to go off in 3. He might steal the 1 game. If he steals a game at the Garden or something like that, one of these guys, like, I don't expect nothing out of Tim Hardaway Jr. He's one of the guy who played for a finals team that played himself out of the rotation. What are we talking here? I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr., again, a well-known, Knicks had him. We traded to Atlanta, got him back, and then we let him go again. Like, the reason why. Because we wound up drafting guys that we felt were better than him. And those guys, mind you, we traded Quentin Grimes to Detroit last year. And Detroit let him go. I thought letting him go or making a trade for Tim Hardaway Jr. Like, what were they thinking? I mean, obviously, maybe they felt they wanted a veteran, but imagine if they had Quentin Grimes, who was balling off, going crazy, instead of Tim Hardaway Jr. Again, Tobias Harris. Guy scored, what did he score? 11 points a game last year. And again, it's not because he wasn't getting the rock. No, he was getting the rock plenty. He froze like a deer in the headlights. Sorry, he's not as good a player as Mikal Bridges. He's not as good a player as OG Anunoby at this point. He's not as good a player as Josh Hart. That was his matchup. So, again, if you tell me one of those guys gets you to 18 points a game, you're still at a disadvantage because I'm giving you OG. I'm giving you Cade possibly being 5 points better than than Brunson. And even then, you're not telling me what. Let's just say their assists are equal, and he's 5 points better efficiency, all that. Again, Knicks got a Karl Anthony Towns. It can just kill the matchup with Duran or whoever they decide to pick on him. They'll put on him. Like, again, I'm 20. Again, I'm the worst I can see Cat doing is 20-10 in this series. The worst. What I expect is about 20, the same I expected from at the beginning of the season. I wanted 24 and 10. Give me a block. Give me the solid shooting percentages. He did. He exceeded all of that. He exceeded all of that. Every number that I asked on, he exceeded. So me not being the biggest Karl Anthony Towns fan, I realize how good he is, how much of an offensive talent he is. Now again, if you tell me you intimidate him and take him out, and you make that 20-10 pedestrian, again, if they're not getting 18 points from their second leading scorer or anybody else, again, a bunch of guys have to play better than their playoff. And Tim Hardaway Jr. has never been a playoff wizard. Neither has Tobias Harris early in his career had some good playoffs, but that's been a while. So, yeah, look, Knicks. I got Knicks in 5. I'm not even being arrogant. I just think that the talent disparity will show. The idea that they will be physical, and again, they could steal a game. I don't see it happening. I don't. Them catching us at certain times, like one time with Karl Anthony Towns, the next time with Brunson, it wasn't even 100%, just coming back from the ankle injury. The first game was a Knicks blowout. The second one, they kind of stole from us. And again, I think it was injuries. When it comes down to it, you got Deuce McBride, you got Landry Shamet, who, and again, the Knicks might go to an 8-man rotation. So you're talking Deuce McBride, Landry Shamet, and Mitch coming off the bench. Well, that's the 8. You find me the weak link. If Landry Shamet was playing the way he did, again, I'm not a big Landry Shamet fan, but Landry Shamet has been around the block. Again, if he comes in, he shoots 40 from 3. If he gets 15 minutes of solid, mono. And again, he kind of went mono with Beasley after Beasley hit the 10 with 2 small signs. He went and hit the next 3 threes. I believe Tibbs took him out. That was a controversy that was like, how didn't you let a guy like Shamet cook if he's cooking? Well, I bring back in Josh Hart, and it seemed like and again, that's the other factor too, the Josh Hart factor. And I remember last year Philly dared him to shoot, and he killed him. Right? Again, you also had Dante Vincenzo, who played lights out in that series. Jalen Brunson was God-like. We had lost Mitchell Robinson obviously to that ankle injury, and it's been a battle back. But now we have him, and again, if barring any injuries or anything, the Knicks potentially have. And I'll give Beasley his credit, and I'll say he's the 7th best player in the series. Right, the Knicks starting 5, then Beasley comes in. Duran, and again, Azula Thompson. At this point, he's not his brother offensively. Neither one of them can shoot. If you want to talk about letting Josh Hart shoot, Knicks will live whatever Azula Thompson does from outside the arc. Beasley is the guy who comes. Beasley, Tobias, I know can knock down some threes. I know Tim Hart again, but they're streaky players. They're not players who are automatic. Maybe Beasley when he's cooking is automatic. Maybe Ron Holland at the other, because I guess he's the other guard spot, right? He's not even a shooting guard. Again, the Knicks. I got Knicks in 5. I got Detroit getting one of their home games. I got the Knicks coming out up 3-1 back from Detroit. Detroit already so shook that they don't want any New Yorkers buying tickets. Again, it depends on, but let's just say. The worst I see the series going for the Knicks, and the Knicks win game 1, or maybe even Detroit wins game 1, but then Detroit wins the first game at home and they take a 2-1 series lead. I still see the Knicks readjusting, and again, a lot of people say if Detroit gets one early, if they get too early, they can win in 5 or knock the Knicks out. But I just don't. And if it does happen, Tibbs is gone. The way this series goes is going to be very indicative. And again, expecting Detroit. And again, I'm gonna go when I get into my thing. Boston might got more of a little thing than more of a little fight than they think they do. But I still got Boston coming out, and Boston can make short work of the Knicks, or if the Knicks finally get back on the level that people expected them, which is again, this is the right time to peak. The Knicks could definitely possibly beat Boston. And again, I said that last week on Out the Picks Knicks fans, so I stand by it. Like there's nothing I've seen to say, oh, Boston is just going to wipe the floor with us. Now, okay, I completely admit they got a number, but that don't mean, that's my thing with I know not to be a Knicks fan. I don't think anybody has seen the Knicks at full strength, and the hope is that the Knicks, and that's the thing, regardless of how the regular season played out, the Knicks have to be at their best, and you got to expect the Knicks to be at their best. Again, you got a whole little mini training camp, practices galore, prepping, film set. As I said, the Knicks got to put that film session. Anything that Detroit did to us over these 4 games, iron that out. Be ready for the little physical play. And again, if they're relying on being physical to like intimidate the Knicks, that's a one. Look, you wouldn't have been able to do it last. They wouldn't have been able to do it. If Randall and what's her name and DiVincenzo and guys like that and Iheart was still on the team. There's too many bodies that'll come knock you around. The Knicks are not that type of team this year, but you can try to out physical us. The skill is going to be there. If the Knicks hit the threes, if the Knicks play at a higher pace, this is going to be a short work series. So, again, I get what people are seeing. Again, like I said, I started giving Detroit a lot of praise for where they came up. I felt as soon as I saw them play that they were a better team than people remember them for winning 14 games last year. Well, different coach, different settings, different lineups. I know they got to pick up. Oh, I forgot about Schroeder. Schroeder could be definitely an X factor. Again, they got guys off their bench. But the Knicks got guys off their bench. We got guys that we haven't unlocked. That's just a true aspect of, he might not be in that rotation if he goes 8, but I expect him to, that's another guy that can bop a little bit. Like they can box out and going to PJ Tucker. We don't expect to play unless it's desperation time, unless you feel you need a little kick. But again, the Knicks got rookies and stuff like that. They can possibly. I don't expect any surprises on that front, but you never know. You never know. So, I got Knicks at 5. As long as I see it going to 6, even if Detroit picks an early 2-1 lead, I see the Knicks fighting back, finding out who they are, and remembering who we are. A team that was predicted top 2. And, again, top 5 record all year. They finished with the 5th best record in the league. And we're treated like, but it's all good. Like I said, fun. Pistons are a fun team. They're about a year away. Knicks at 5, so don't worry, Knicks fans. We're going to win this series. I put everything on it. All right, guys. Peace.